Think we're live. Hi, welcome. This is Karmen, your divine synergist of Heart's Joy. Welcome to this week's discussion. And bear with me. So this week I'm actually using a new tool so that this discussion is not only streamed on YouTube, it's also now streamed live on Facebook. So thank you all for joining. Today's discussion for this week is asking the question, are you a survivor or are you a thriver? And what I'll do is you can feel free to put your questions in the chat box, and we will have a quick Q&A time at the end. So this week, all week long, if you've been following on social media, I've been talking about stories, also known as mind maps or narratives. And if you aren't familiar with what this is, and they're basically all the same thing, we're just using different words to explain to you. First off, your mind is separate from your soul and your spirit. And there, you may have heard the one, the first thing you learn in marketing is that perception is reality. That actually comes out of this idea of a story or a narrative. So it's simply a story that's been created that typically we take on as our own, that we've been told over and over and over, whether it's by our family, whether it's by society, by experiences, because really that's how we learn, or through experiences. And so it's once you hear it enough, you think, yeah, this is true, this is real. And a lot of times it's not. A lot of times the stories or narratives or mind maps, brain maps, because literally if you tell them time and time and time again, they actually truly do get wired into your brain as if they are true, as if they are real. And that's something I know Joe Dispenza talks about, is how you can heal through your mind, and that's why, because you can rewire your brain, and that's what he's talking about, is those mind maps. I call them stories or narratives, okay? So I've noticed that a particular narrative that a lot of people that have tied themselves to is that they are broken. And I am so baffled by this, that they really think, you really think that you are broken, that you're physically broken. And I keep seeing great memes and graphics in a lot of people's marketing that, well, you're broken and I have this to fix you. And I don't want anyone to ever think that they were broken. I don't want you to think that there was ever something wrong with you. Just because you maybe didn't fit into the narrative, into somebody's expectation or idea of what you should look like, of what you should wear, of how you should act. And those narratives is what, again, were given to us by, it typically starts with our family, with media, with the marketing that the media gives you. Again, this product, this shade of lipstick will get you the guy, will make millions of dollars. I've even been told in interviews, don't wear red to an interview. And let me tell you, I did get a job in corporate land one time because, and I was wearing a red dress with red lipstick. I'm all about busting through these narratives because they aren't real. So I want to talk about broken in a couple different narratives, okay? One, again, is how we see ourselves. And I invite you, instead of saying, I am broken, because you aren't and you never were, we're going to talk about that, is to say, I feel broken. That is a whole different ball of wax, because just like you, I have difficult days too. And, depending on what's happening, depending on what I'm experiencing, even the energies, because the astrological alignments do impact our energies, it can feel difficult. And it can feel like there's a black cloud above our head. And I invite you during the next 30 minutes to just notice the words. Notice what words you're using, because that's what you're creating in your life. And notice the difference. And then I invite you for the next at least 14 days, if not longer, to catch yourself and use different words. Anytime you say I am, you are literally creating that, whatever comes after it. So if you say I am broken, you are creating this identity that you're broken, and you're not. If you say I feel broken, that's totally different. So the second narrative is this current situation, which we've all most likely heard about because it's everywhere, no matter where you go, with the police system, the judicial system, the political system. And so many people have come to me and said, it's broken. I even got in an argument with a gentleman last year in public, which I rarely do, because he was so adamant that he was broken and that the system was broken. And I am here to tell you that neither of those are true. You are not broken, and the system is not broken. This system feels broken, and for good reason. It was designed this way. Black people are still getting shot and killed by police for what? I freaking don't know, and we're going to talk about that tonight. Yet, from my understanding, and again, I feel like these days it's difficult unless you were there and have the experience to really kind of understand what happened. My understanding is that, there was a white man that came in and just walked free, and who came with whatever gun it was and just shot a bunch of people. And somehow that's okay. And absolutely, it is okay to say that this feels broken, that I am angry. We should be angry at that. All of us should feel angry about what's happening right now. Keep in mind, this system is working how it was designed how many years ago. And that's where I've been focusing on, what does it look like and what is it going to take for us to unite together and to create this one system that works for everybody. You hear me talk about the highest good in everybody, for everybody's highest good, because I don't know what that is or what that looks like. I do know that the powers that be do. And when I say powers that be, use whatever word resonates with you: God, divine source, energy, love, Jesus. We need the people in power to take a stand and do something. And I am rolling out a series of conversations that have been ongoing. So if you get a chance, go to YouTube and you can see one that I rolled out yesterday, where I talked to Jamar. I'm getting ready to roll out a few more videos every week where, everybody's consistently saying, white people, we are in power. We have what it takes to change this. And I say, absolutely yes. And there's an and to that as well. And I will get into that in a minute. What I did love to hear is that we had professionals in the NBA, WNBA, who decided to walk out. In fact, I forget the gentleman's name, who actually walked out of being a commentator. I would do the same thing. Absolutely. That is how you take a stand. That's what this is about. We stand up for everybody else, for ourselves, for humanity, for somebody who you may not know, for doing what is right. And I stop worrying about if it's going to lose your job. Are you going to lose credibility? Are you going to lose followers? Because when you worry about that, that is buying into the narrative. On my personal page, I posted something earlier, and I was kind of like, this will be interesting to see what responses I get back. And I was told that was an idiotic statement. Okay, that is your judgment. I'm not going to buy into your narrative. Continue to stand in your power. The other thing is, when you are placed in a higher power, like these players are, there's higher prices to pay, and they are willing to pay them. And that's what I appreciated so much, is that they took a stand. I do find it interesting how this has also happened in the past with the Colin Kaepernick, with other people in the past who have taken stands. And again, the narrative is, again, this third dimensional perspective. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, I encourage you to go to YouTube. And I did 2 different videos about third dimensional, fifth dimensional, what it is, and the power. That is definitely a I'm right, you're wrong. Everybody's got an opinion. I'm not saying it's wrong to have an opinion. Do it with respect. And do your personal work, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Now, another perspective on this broken narrative in today's society is that we each have our own narrative. Every single person has our own narrative. And I will never know what it's going to feel like to be in your shoes, because I have not lived in your shoes. I may agree with you to a degree, and it's never going to be 100% because we were designed differently on purpose. So that narrative always starts when we're a small child. We were born whole and complete. We didn't really have mind maps or stories until a certain age. And it's because we had experiences. You touch a hot stove, oh, that's hot. Okay, and you do that enough times, and you start to understand what that is. So the narrative of I'm whole, I'm loved, I'm safe, I'm beautiful, I'm abundant, love is love, God loves you, I'm accepted, be good to everyone. It's okay if you look different than others. You're unique and made in the eyes of God. I ask you, were any of these narratives given to you as a child? Or did these narratives, did these stories, did they sound a little different? And here's the thing, we all do what we know. So it's not that your parents did anything wrong. This is actually how it's designed. Because we chose this lifetime to learn certain lessons. It's called your soul's contract. We see it when we do your numerology. Your soul chose this body, this life, this family, the kids chose you, the family, the whole unit for a reason. So of course, all of our narratives will look different. This is, it's a part of the school of life. And can you shift and actually say, I am so blessed and happy and thankful that I am here. We take all of this for granted. We take being here in this school on earth for granted. We get so caught up. We take it for granted. For me, it's learning lessons both individually and as a collective. That's the and conversation. So yes, it's up to white people in power to do something. Yeah. And it's up to every one of us to do our personal work and to shift. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. Humans are simply acting out based off of a narrative that they've taken on, and they can choose to change it. Anytime I hear about a cop that's, shooting that has to do with cops, the first few things I think about is that's what they were trained to do. I've talked to those families, and they are trained us versus them. They are trained on defense. Can that be changed and shifted? I'm pretty sure, yeah. I feel like there's always room for some sort of shift. And if you're watching this right now and your blood is just boiling and you're just in this, I'm Karmen's wrong and I'm right, I invite you to shift, because that's definitely a third dimensional perspective. They are doing what they know, and it's wrong, and it needs to change. The system needs to change. These narratives have been ingrained in us, and you don't know what narrative or story that person was given as a child. It very much could have been a racist one. I'm not going to deny that. It's up to each of us to do our personal work. It's up to each of us to take a stand, and it's up to each of us to create a new system that serves everyone's highest good. That's what this fifth dimensional energy is that came last July. That's why we're struggling. There's so many different reasons, astrologically, energy, why we're struggling right now. And once you start to understand it, you can align with it and shift. You can work with the energies. I feel like after having a lot of these conversations with different people, they are afraid. They're living in fear, survival. They don't know what to do. They're definitely caught in this lower level vibrational narrative. And it's difficult to step out. So saying you're a survivor is the same thing. I see a lot of businesses, a lot of marketing, a lot of, I can't think of the word I want right now. It's literally based off of and feeding off of survivor. I am on TikTok, and let me tell you, I loved the chain and I loved the team positivity of what the message that they had intended to get across, except they used I'm a survivor. And that just, talk about getting my blood boiled. Come on. Do you guys want to survive, or do you want to thrive? Because those are two totally different things. Yes, you've experienced a lot and it sucks. Actually, we all have experienced some trauma in our life, and I didn't recognize that until last year, myself included. Again, it's the narrative, the idea, it's really the meaning of these words of what is trauma. It could be verbal, it could be physical. We have an idea in our brain of what we think it is because we were given that idea based on the shows we watch and based on the news outlet media, the marketing. It doesn't necessarily look that way. And when you say you're a survivor, you're saying you're still struggling because you're surviving. And typically it's something in the past. And I'm asking you, why are you staying in the past? That's depression. I know somebody here locally, I love them dearly, and they've got all these shirts and I'm a survivor. And okay, awesome. And I want to say, you're wearing it like a badge of honor. And why don't you use it so she feels like she's empowering other people? Really, you're getting something out of it. There's a reason why we do what we do. And it could be because you're getting a payoff or something out of it. You're getting oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. You receive a lot of sympathy, a lot of empathy. You're receiving outside validation. Versus if you came in and you're like, well, I'm a thriver. And And by the way, there is a way to share your story without it sounding like victim and still be in that thriver energy. And I do want to say that, yes, some days feels like a struggle for all of us. Feel your feelings. Give yourself time to feel them. Don't stay there because you don't want to create more of it. Work through them. The only way out is through. And then learn how to shift into a different vibration, into a higher vibration. Because the vibration is what you're creating in your life. If you want to focus on being a survivor, go right ahead. That's what you're going to continue to create in your life, is you're just surviving. You're just bare minimum. Versus I'm thriving and I live this abundant, loving life. When you start to say and live as you're a thriver, or I'm thriving, you now have told the universe you are abundant, the past is behind you, you are ready to receive and create new stories, living a different way. You essentially empower yourself to live on purpose, to live a life you love instead of allowing the past to create your future. This is why sometimes it feels like we have a black cloud that follows us around. By the way, life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. Happening to you is survival. That's an old narrative, that's an old story. And this is why it's so important to understand the current stories, the narratives that we've taken on as our own, and shift them through your thoughts and languaging, creating this life that you want. I did a video earlier today saying, for those of you who have been doing your spiritual personal work, those of you who resonate with being an empath, a healer, a starseed, a light being, we need you right now. We need you right now. We need you to step into your power, into your personal power. I call it the fifth dimensional power. We need you to step into your gifts, into your true purpose, and start sharing it with other people. And if you need help with that, that's when you're going to reach out to me, and we're going to talk about that here at the end. There's a lot that's going to happen this fall. We've all heard everything, right? You heard all the conspiracy theories, which I don't think that's bad. Again, it's the narrative or story that a conspiracy theory is bad. I encourage you to look it up. And the year that it was developed by, I believe, the FBI, CIA or FBI, I think it was the FBI, so that we wouldn't catch on to and ask questions of what they were doing. Encourage you to look that up. Yes, people keep talking about a blackout, whatever that looks like, losing power. You know, somebody today told me there's going to be a financial, I forget what she called it, before the blackout. A lot of this is fear-based on purpose. It's the narrative that they're telling us. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I do know for a fact, though, that I'm going to create something different as I step into love, and know that whatever is going to happen here on Earth in this three-dimensional experience, that I'm going to be taken care of. Because I've done my work, I've stocked up on supplies, and I'm sitting here in love, and I know that it's all good. Stories and narratives are literally created for marketing. Notice how many false realities you have in your life. And I will tell you, as a young girl, I bought into almost every single one of them. I watched the soap operas. I loved Disney. I loved all of the romantic shows. And I had this false narrative of what love looked like, of what a relationship looked like because of all of that. We get to relearn, reparent ourselves, And I feel like it started maybe a year or two ago, where this generation, we're reparenting ourselves, is what the holistic psychologist Nicole talks about. We can shift, and we can shift the family dynamics and not pass down certain things. Think about how many old false narratives you've based your life on. And one of the biggest ones is you are broken. Again, you need this product or service to be fixed. And I say this is BS. It wasn't until later on in life, because I did feel broken, I thought that God was punishing me. And it wasn't until later that I realized that I was simply disconnected from myself. I was disconnected from my authentic self. I was disconnected from my relationship with myself. I didn't know who I was or what I wanted, because I just did and wanted whatever everybody else told me. Oh, so I guess I, need this outfit or need to have this haircut, the Rachel haircut in the 90s. That I was born a blonde. I dye my hair. Who cares? Really, it's not that big of a deal. Do blondes really have more fun? Come on now, you guys, come on. As I started to understand who I am, who Karmen is at my soul, and develop that relationship, because at the end of the day, it's about the relationship. It's about the relationship with yourself and with God, divine source, whatever you want to call it. That's what it's about. And I promise you that as that shifts and people start to develop a relationship with themselves and stop listening to the fear-based narratives, fear-based stories that they've received from other people, which this is my judgment. That's what religion a lot is based off of, is fear-based, based on a human's perception of their interpretation of the Bible versus my experience with God. I know that it will shift what is happening right now. I know that we won't have this turmoil anymore. I know it because I've experienced it firsthand. Life is not happening to you. It is happening for you. You are being supported. I've noticed as I've shifted since last, I'd say February, other people around me have shifted and they don't know why. People have left my life. New people have come in. I've shifted relationships with certain family members. So yes, I firsthand know that this work is that important, and that yes, we each are that powerful to make a difference. We each are that ripple and can make a difference, because all it starts is with you. And I am here to help you along your spiritual journey and shift your stories, giving you the tools to connect to your authentic self, have that relationship with God, with the divine source. So I am offering a free 30-minute call just to see where you are right now. Is there an offering I may have to help you along your journey at this particular time? Because we need you right now to take a stand for yourself and for all of humanity. Thank you so much for joining. I don't see any questions in the comments. Yes, there are lots of narratives, and we all get to change them. And actually, I'm very excited for that. So thank you all so much for joining tonight. Sending you much love. Take care.